Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Now, that's Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. We're in the process of moving, so we have so many wonderful things I can't wait to tell you about that we're already working on just to broaden it. The viewership and everything, but you can still find us on Abundance Television. That's huge. Abundance Television, we're syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and all the social networks. We got all that stuff going as well. And by the way, just wanted to mention to everybody, thank you so much for the viewership. I definitely appreciate it. We are going to be celebrating 20 years of Donna's Edge Talk Show, and that's going to be, guess what, April 1st, and I'm not joking. It is April 1st. And it's so funny. So Tom Williams got me started in television. He owned the television. It was a local television station in Jacksonville, Alabama. So he comes to me and he says, we're going to start a talk show, a noontime talk show. And I said, oh, that's awesome. We need something like that in this community. And he said, I said, who's going to host it? And he said, you are. And I started laughing. Now, yeah, real, yeah, I'll forget my name. And he said, no, you're going to do it. He said, I've been talking to everybody in the community and everybody, your name just keeps popping up for some reason. And I said, no, I said, can we just tape one? And then when I mess up and you see how crazy and dumb I'm going to be and not know my name, can we do it? But it was just something about his leadership and his guidance was just absolutely awesome. And so I was hooked. So it's been almost 20 years, but I thank you guys for making this possible. Without you and without our awesome sponsors who just keep hanging with us all these 20 years, we're definitely appreciative of all of that. Okay, now, send emails. Continue to do that because the show is for you. It's not my show. It's your show. So continue sending emails. Any ideas? Things you would like me to do some research on, and coming up in just as a matter of, I have several of them this week. Tips on moving with a large family, and believe me, I can tell you how to do that. And then tips for buying your first home, and I'll be glad to do that. It's going to be coming up in a couple of segments, a couple of days or so. But anyway, thank you so much. Okay, I got my new friend with me right now. His name is Clint Day, and he is with the Newscasters studio, where we are proud to be part of that team. And we're getting a lot of viewership there too. Clint, what's going on? Why is the Newscasters growing so fast?
Well, we're very excited about it, Don, and thank you for your encouragement with that vision. And we just want to have that platform that's different, that has more conservative network news, if you would, and Newscasters News. And we're so excited about the growth of it. Victoria Scott and Murray Edwards are doing a great job helping make things happen and getting a lot of things opened up for us, and we're very, very excited. And it's like any business, small business, where you're first starting out, you keep wondering what the right pattern is and what the right next step is. But God continues to lead us, and we're getting new opportunities every day. New newscasters are coming on, and that's what it takes, getting the message out and letting people know there's a platform out there that has more conservative news. It's a great place to go, the Newscaster Studio.
You guys even have a sports guy out there. His name is AP Stedham. And I know AP, and he has been in sports. I told him one time, I said, AP, if somebody were to cut your throat, sports would come out instead of
absolutely
blood. I mean, this guy, he really knows it. And he used to work really close with Coach Paul Bear Bryant in Alabama. And so, I mean, this guy's got it going on. He knows the sports. As a matter of fact, he got me interested in basketball. Football was my only thing. And so he's just a good guy. He knows it all. But anyway, the Newscaster Studio. And again, Clint, thank you so much for making this happen. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you again today. I'm excited for you, your new move, your news of moving to a different place, and how God's working that out for you.
Oh, yeah, it really is. I just really don't have the knowledge of making things happen. So it's better that I let God lead me instead of me doing it.
Absolutely.
Anytime I've ever done it, Clint, I messed up big time. So it's just smoother. It's not near as hectic. It's just easier. It's just easier to let God have it.
Well, you were sharing earlier about how you and Phil decided not to sweat the small stuff. There's always, when you're closing a piece of property, it's almost like the attorneys never do anything until like 48 hours ahead of the closing. And so you have all these hoops you got to jump through. 9 times out of 10, you're like, why haven't you been telling me this for days so I could be working on it, or at least processing it better. And sure enough, it's amazing how right before the closing, there's always something that comes up. So I think when you talk about giving advice to people closing on a home or closing on real estate, is a recognition of that, especially if you've never really owned a house, or maybe this is first or second home, to remember that those attorneys, sometimes it's like, what have you been doing this whole time? We've been doing all this paperwork for the loan and everything else, and what have you been doing? And all of a sudden you're going to throw a wrench at me, and I got to figure out how to fix it. So
But anyway, everything happens for a reason, I guess.
absolutely.
But we are happy and we're at peace at what we're doing. So that works out. You know, a lot of us are at peace now because Donald Trump came in as president of the United States. And I'm so happy. I mean, I am. And he's not a perfect man, but I think he's the right guy for the job. But now a lot of people, I know they're relaxed now. They're saying, well, he's in now. I'm done. I'm going to go on ahead and just, go with my life the way it is. Is that the smart thing to do?
Totally agree. I think there's a lot of apathy, if you will. Hey, he's got it under control. Everything's in his hands. And I think we need to be praying more than ever. I mean, I really do believe that God gave us a reprieve for the election of Donald Trump. I know that a lot of people are fasting and praying. I have a Monday night prayer group that meets at my house, and we were praying like crazy. And we are just so grateful that God allowed the miraculous to happen, and is allowing an opportunity, a reprieve again, if you will, of an opportunity to have leadership that will hopefully point us in the right direction. And I'm very encouraged. One thing that we know, my mom years ago told us about Romans 8:28, how things work together for our good, and all things work together for good, even though sometimes when it's happening, we don't understand how it's going to work together for our good. And she had just come off a plane crash when she was sharing that scripture with me, and off the southern coast of Chile. And I remember going, Mom, I just don't understand as a younger man how that's going to be. And you think about what happened in the election when Biden supposedly won. And I think there's going to be some truth coming out with that. We're going to see some things that really we didn't know about before. But right now, I love what Donald Trump is doing. He's figured a lot of things out. He's had 4 years to really think about it and figure out where his focus needs to be. He's got a team of people around him that can really make a difference and hit the ground running. It's not like last time in 2016, 17. We were all shocked. We just knew Hillary was going to win, and I think he was probably about as shocked as anybody. And he surrounded himself with people that were still part of the swamp. But now this time he's got people that really want to make a difference and change things. And it's so exciting to see.
Oh, it most definitely is. We get complacent, and I was really upset. I just really believe he won the last election between him and Biden.
Me too.
I think he did. But God knows best. Do you think maybe, I know it's true. There was a reason for it. I think he can get more done this time because we had to go through 4 years of Biden. And I think that really got people out. I really do. People that I know haven't voted in years voted this time around. They voted for Trump. Sometimes we just have to, I'm hard-headed. I'm stubborn. Sometimes the house has to fall on me. And I think there's a lot of us out there like that. We have to go through bad stuff so we can appreciate the good stuff.
Absolutely. And I think we get complacent. We get comfortable in our fat and happy, if you will. We don't get desperate. And I think that sometimes in our country, we need to be more desperate for prayer, actually, where we need to get more into what is God doing? What is he saying to us? What do we need to do to make a difference? Because again, when we get kind of comfortable in our environment, sometimes it's hard to find ourselves where we get, if you will, desperate enough. And I think, again, a lot of times that's why God allows tough times in our lives, whether it's a setback financially or health-wise, and it helps us really realize where our focus needs to be. And that's one thing I've learned the hard way a lot of times is, sometimes you just got to keep looking up because, he's going to take care of us. He's going to get you through it, and we can trust him. And when I think about what's going on, when I look at some of the articles I've even read recently about the leader of Ukraine saying like 58% of the money that they really can't account for. And our accounting offices can't properly account for the money that we've given to Ukraine, 177 billion or something like that. That's a huge number, 58% they can't account for. I mean, what kind of crazy is that? And it just shows you when our government is so lax with our money, with the taxpayers' money, and we get so overconfident, if you will, and so committed to a goal that we forget about the real cost to the average person. And you think about that cost to us and that what that money could be done to do great things here in America, helping the people from Helene or helping the people in LA from the fires or wherever, our individual people here in this country. And yet I want Ukraine to have their freedom. I want them to be a free country. I don't want Russia to win. But at the same time, there needs to be the accountability. Where's that money really going?
Well, our people can't suffer. I mean, we're probably the most giving country ever. And I know just local community, something happens, somebody's house burns down, everybody gets together, let's go ahead and get clothes for them, find out sizes now, all those things we do. And we work hard and we pay taxes. I've been paying taxes since forever. I mean, I've been working for a long time, had my own business for a long time. And you and I, business owners, we know what it's like. If we hired someone to keep our books and we had a deficit, anything near that in our businesses, that person would be gone. That's
right. Well, and you wouldn't be in business. You can't afford to do that. And in our federal government, as you know, the Federal Reserve, quasi-private organization, it is private, pretty much can print money at any whim. And as a result, as we know, we get that inflation forces, and when they start printing a lot more money, and you wonder when, at some point, you have to really pay for the errors of your way, if you will. And I really don't understand how we can basically violate the principles, the basic principles, without long-term consequences. And we know at some point you got to pay it back.
I would like to say something to my liberal friends. And I know you guys watch the show because you're always sending me little emails and texts. But this is what I've got to say for you. When your guy was president for the past 4 years, I did not like it. But I had to pray for the guy every day.
That's right.
That's what we're supposed to do. I didn't want, some people cut off their nose to spite their face. I didn't want the guy to fail because I knew that if he failed, which he was doing, that it would hurt us. It would hurt our families, and it would hurt the families of the United States. So I don't understand some of you guys. I mean, shouldn't you be, if you just don't like Trump, couldn't you at least be praying for him if you're a praying Christian?
Absolutely. Well, Romans 15 talks about that you ought to pray for those in authority, that God's allowed them for whatever reason to be put in authority. And even though I know this election, when people really look at the numbers, I mean, it was still, let's just say it was 53% or whatever it was that really voted for Trump this time. The Electoral College was a little bit stronger than that. But the reality is we have still a very divided country. And I don't understand why so many people think that the moral bankruptcy that we were going through with what Biden was pushing, cutting body parts off of children and killing babies in the womb, whatever, and go down the list of things that I do not understand, men and women's sports and all those things that were so divisive. And I don't understand why people think that's a good idea. I mean, I have 3 daughters, have 4 granddaughters, and I want them to be able to participate in sports with women, other ladies. I don't want them having to compete with a man in a sport. And I just don't understand why that was a good idea from the other side. I don't understand the wokeness. I don't understand why it's okay to not allow free speech. Even comedians were being restricted in what they could say. And that's part of humor, is to laugh at yourself and laugh at the extremes sometimes we all get into. But it was getting so politically correct that people were afraid to say what they thought. And so I'm grateful that freedom has come back and we have that freedom returned.
Well, we know for sure the numbers were being worked with when it came to social media. We know that.
Yes.
I know I was, when I was talking to Murray and Victoria about actually coming on your network, those are during the times when Facebook, I mean, I knew what the numbers were with abundant television. That couldn't be messed with. So I knew I had big numbers there, but I was always wondering about social media, because I'm just telling you, Clint, there were some days I would see on Facebook, it would say that I had only 5 viewers. And then
Yes.
sometimes it would say 30, but then people would send, and I would always ask this. So people would send messages, and I would say, well, how do you watch the show? Well, they would say Facebook, a lot of them. And I'm like, but this is showing I only have 5 viewers, so I don't get that. So I was talking with Rob, who's with Abundance Television, and I said, I don't know that you want me, just like I did with you guys. I said, because I don't think I've got that many viewers. And he said, we've looked at the backside. You got a lot of viewers. And I said, that's not what Facebook says. And so Mark Zuckerberg, and I hope we can trust him. I have noticed a few things different. Now I got lots of viewers since he said, now it's matching up with the responses I'm getting from people. So I'm still trying to trust him. I really am. I'm hoping he's not going to be one of those, I've got you built up, now I'm going to pull the rug out from under you as far as social media is concerned. How can we trust someone who did us wrong, who says they're coming to do the right thing, such as Mr. Zuckerberg with Facebook? Should we put our trust in that?
Well, I'm hoping that they'll do it just because it's the best business practices.
It would be smart.
And it's to treat your customer the way you want to be treated. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? The good old golden rule. And I just think about the situation that conservatives, their audiences are just as important as any liberal, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously there's a desire for alternative media, which is what we know made a big difference for how Trump won. The fact that X was bought by Elon Musk, and the differences that algorithms and everything that were coming out of their numbers were showing that conservatives were active and they were part of the market. And then again, the Joe Rogan type programs, your type of program, those type of programs that have an audience where people want that alternative news. We're tired of the biasness of mainstream media. And I'm even encouraged with Donald Trump and some of his lawsuits against mainstream media with CBS, who doctored a program where Harris was speaking, and they made her sound like she made sense, whereas she really had answered a question with a bunch of word salad, which was part of her pattern. I think, honestly, sometimes I wondered if she didn't lack sleep because she just had such a guilty conscience, because sometimes I thought that some of the things that she would say were just so way out there, it didn't make any sense. And I felt like, are you just not sleeping enough? Literally, that was something that I would think. And I think, again, we got to get back to knowing what the truth is, because the truth will set us free. And we had a lot of people in this the process in the social media that were not being honest, and that they were taking the algorithms and putting them against us, as you stated, underrating how we do versus the other side. And so now we've got that balance, and I think a lot of people in social media are realizing that Trump is there for 4 years, and you need to get your act together and be truthful with your information.
I think so too. I worked with the company GTE in the corporate division. I handled the government corporate accounts for a number of years, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but they were turning into woke even back in the 90s and 2000s. Yes. I can see it now. I can see what they were doing.
Yes.
Well, it was a good, I enjoyed my time there. It was a whole lot of fun. But they sent us through a training called PAR training. And PAR training is where you could actually look at the mannerisms of someone to see if they were lying to you. You know, like, don't waste time with a person who says they're going to lie to you when they're really not going to. You're just using that time for something else. One of the things I learned in PAR training is you can tell when someone is lying to you is when they start just giggling. It just, and that's what she did. That's what Kamala Harris did. And so we were watching her through a few. You got to give everybody a chance. You just have to. What if she's president? What if she makes it? And so I told Phil, I said, PAR training, that's what they told us. When you've got someone who's just, all they do is lie. It's like you could say the sky is blue. They're going to just cackle. And that's what she did the entire time. But there are mannerisms that we need to be aware of with people. We've got to be wise. We got to go through Proverbs. We've got to do, we've got to do all these things. I'll never be the smartest human on earth. I know that. But there's some things you can just kind of pick up on, and you can know whether you're following the right rabbit trail or not.
That's true. And I think we know them by their fruit, right? And a lot of times people say, well, we're not supposed to judge people. We're supposed to, leave the judgment to God. And I agree with that. But we also are to be fruit inspectors. We're to be aware of their fruit. And so if they'll lie to us about the little things, then we can expect lies for big things. And then again, the border's secure, right? We were told the border's secure. And so look, don't let your eyes deceive you. You see all these 10 and 11,000 people coming across the border, and they're telling you it's secure. And the media is trying to tell you it's secure. I mean, your eyes don't lie. The truth is you're seeing it right there in front of you. And so how do we, again, get that truth to be told and then allow the voters to back up what they believe? And I think that's what we saw. We saw a miracle in a lot of ways where God allowed just a total transformation in a different direction. And again, it would not have been my choice. I mean, I think you'd be the same way. I'd have rather had 8 years in a row of Trump, but God allowed us to see, if we elect a certain kind of leader, the kind of results we're going to get. And so we have a choice now, and I'm praying that he'll do a really good job. And as you stated, that he'll do what's right for the American people, and he won't be undermined by people on the other side.
What is his approach to actually talking with other leaders and having meetings with I'm talking long ones, versus who we had before, Joe Biden? I mean, it's obvious. I know we are, but let's talk about some of it. It's just going to be different. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be sleeping while he's talking to one of the.
That's true. Absolutely. Well, and we got to pray that he'll continue to have good health, because again, you think about Joe Biden having a major stroke or aneurysm, whatever he had happen. He was definitely a different man after that happened. So we got to pray for that hedge of protection around him, that he'll keep good health, that he'll continue to have a lot of energy. And when you can hear him when he's talking to people. I mean, Biden couldn't do press conferences like Trump can. He couldn't sit there and debate you and answer questions like Trump can. And so we're having the benefit of that we're seeing Trump a lot right there on the front lines, cheering what's going on. And he's got the bully pulpit to say what needs to be said. He's not relying on somebody else to say it. And when you think about situations like with the tariffs that they're talking about, I don't claim to understand tariffs. All I understand is that a lot of countries take advantage of us. For example, we may import German cars. We may import BMWs or Mercedes, but they don't import our cars. And if they do, they charge such a high tariff on them, makes them so expensive that the average German can't afford it. But yet we let their cars come in our country almost tariff-free. Again, I don't know all the details behind it, but the balance is not there. And so what Trump is saying is, if you're going to tariff our cars, we're going to tariff your cars. And yes, it'll make your cars more expensive, but it'll also make American cars more attractive to buy. And as a result, hopefully you drive American industry, American jobs versus the other side. And I think the same is true with Canada. I don't understand exactly what we're going to be doing there with tariffs on their oil or car parts, however they're going to do it. But he has a better understanding of it. And for years, that's how our country developed revenue. It was through tariffs. It was not through income tax. And as you know, in the 1900s, we brought the income tax into law, and it was supposed to be a very small tax on the most wealthy, but then it turns out to tax everybody.
It gets bigger and bigger.
It gets bigger and bigger every time.
It most certainly does. Let's go to a commercial break. Can you believe half the show is over?
Wow.
So, it flies. Okay, we're going to be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang in there, okay? You mean a lot to us. You hang in there. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, and whenever you want to on all the social media sites. You can also find us on YouTube and X. We mentioned that, but anything, MeWe, the whole thing, and we are so proud of it. And we're so proud that you will watch us. Definitely. And it's not me, it's my guest. I have some wonderful guests. It's this one right here. His name is Clint Dade. The Newscaster Studio. Again, I'm tickled to death. Let's talk just a little bit about the Newscaster Studio. So if someone has a voice and they would like to be heard, what do they need to do to set up an interview with you guys?
Well, I'd love to get them with Victoria Scott, and she would help do the interview and get them through the process, and they would just go through the interview process and make sure that their worldview lines up with our worldview and make sure it's consistent with what we want to do on the Newscaster Studio. and she would be the best person to reach out to. And you can do that through TNS. So that'd be great.
And
We
I've got
also
her
have an
number.
app you can download too. So
I've got her
yes.
number on speed dial. So,
All right,
and let me
that's
tell you what, dealing with Victoria, you're going to love her. I mean, she is so funny and brilliant and smart and a businesswoman all at the same time. This girl's got the whole gamut right there.
Absolutely, she does. She's a fireball and really enthusiastic, loves life, and really is a great cheerleader and a great hard worker. I mean, she really makes things happen, and we're very excited about having her leadership and her taking care of the day-to-day grind. It's not easy to get things done like this.
Did you know she's a gardener as well?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's growing an avocado tree from
I have to admit, I didn't really know she had an avocado tree that she was
ask her about the
specifically-
avocado.
Yes, yes.
She bought an avocado and she called me one day and said, you know about propagating and all this stuff. And I went through Auburn University and did their program.
Horticultural stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. And so I said, yeah, just take the seed out. And she said, well, it's a big seed. And I said, yeah, but you can do it. So she puts it in water and hers actually started growing faster than mine. And I said, let's do it at the same time. And so I'm telling you, it's got little leaves coming out of it. So now she's all into that too. I don't know how she could add one more thing, but she's doing it. She's hanging in there. But Victoria, you're going to absolutely love Victoria Lee Scott. So going ahead and hook up with her, and you're going to love Murray. Now Murray helps you out on the computer end of it.
Right, the technology side, and obviously a lot of good detail. And obviously he's got a great insight on the political stuff too. So as you well know,
he knows
especially Alabama politics.
Oh yeah, he's been doing that for decades. So he's got it going on there as well, and you do too, Clint. Thank you for everything that you've done to make everything smooth sailing for us, because this was a different thing for me. I didn't have a podcast, so it was a little different. But I appreciate it, and I'm having fun with it now. Okay, so let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about President Trump. Okay, so some of my friends who don't think like I do, conservative, are griping right now about, well, I thought the economy was going to be turned around. Now, guys, what you're not admitting is your guy caused us to have a bad economy. See, listen to the way you say these things and when you send me these messages, okay? Because what you're admitting is your guy messed it up. So I mean, I think he's doing a good job, but I don't think it can be like 1 week can fix it. I mean, there are so many components that need to go through, but I still think he's going to do it in record time that anybody else could do it.
I agree totally. A lot of it is, I think you've got to let the new policies take place. I mean, you've got to get them in position. It doesn't happen overnight, and you've got to start getting more confidence. I think a lot of people are having more confidence. They want to buy a house, for example. They want to start a business. And I think a lot of that does take time. I think after the election, there was this kind of a limbo, if you will, of people trying to say, okay, what's really going to happen? And of course, I think you've seen the stock market benefit a lot from the optimism of the Trump legacy. And of course, a lot of it's going to be cutting spending. Can our government really do that? The thing about government spending, it does put dollars into the system, and it can create a lot of opportunities, but obviously it can cause inflation too. And so I'm hoping that they'll get a good balance in that, and then have good policies that, less regulation, other issues of cutting the red tape of people trying to do businesses. I thought it was very interesting that when he went out to LA after the fires, the people were complaining that they weren't going to be able to start building their house for 18 months. I mean, can you imagine your house burns down?
What do you do?
And they tell you can't come on your property. Well, the first thing I want to do is go find anything I can, any pictures or maybe some jewelry or whatever I left back at the house that might be in a safe, who knows? But at least let me go back and look at my own property. And if I don't feel safe, if I'm concerned about glass or whatever, that's my liability. I mean, that's my choice to go on my property. But apparently when Trump went out there, he talked to Karen Bass, and you sat there, you watched that press conference they were having with people in the back of the room yelling, that's not true. You're not letting us go on our property. And she basically gave them permission with Trump's pressure to let them back in, and let them go on their property. And again, it shows you the consequences of our decisions. If you don't allow water to be pumped from Northern California into Southern California, so the farmers can water their fields and people can water their grass, whatever, then you have a dry condition. You get a fire going. Next thing you know, it spreads everywhere, right? Those are consequences of poor decision making. And then you think about, even you hear stories of Indians for hundreds of years, the Native Americans in California, would do controlled burns. They knew they had to do that in order to be safe. And yet here our people today try to be smart, quote, liberals. They think we're going to control things by not letting anything be done. You don't have any ability to manage it. So, the environmentalists try to shut them down. So the craziness, those consequences of our decisions. And I think that's one thing that we got to really understand, is that when we don't properly manage things, the results are going to be the way they are. And I think that hopefully we can get some common sense. I love the word common sense that Trump has come to, that it's just common sense. You get enough water and the fire hydrants can have water in them, you can control a fire. If you don't have water in the fire hydrant, then you can't control fire. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just common issues. But now you have to be living in a common world with the rest of us to know what we're talking about.
Yes.
If you're living in your palace, Nancy Pelosi, all of these people are some Selena Gomez, or I don't know who she is, but she's a singer or something. So she was on social media just crying about all of her. Well, you live in a palace somewhere. Let some of the illegals into your home. Put your money where your mouth is.
That's right. Well, and the thing is, they weren't taking babies and kids. They were taking criminals and murderers and, people that have raped people, whatever. And so they were people that needed to go away. And there will come a time when, you'll have to deport people that came here illegally, however they came. And again, we all are for immigration. We know we're a nation of immigrants, but we need to come here legally. I have a nephew that's married to a lady that just became Venezuelan, who just became a U.S. citizen. Took her like 7 or 8 years, but she did it the right way. And of all the people, she left, because of persecution. Her family had to leave. And that was one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And South America was Venezuela. And now people are losing weight because of a dictator they have. And people are not having jobs, and the opportunities have been shut down. And even our president has said, you're going to take your people back. We're not going to keep them in here anymore. And I'm excited to see that those things are actually coming and transpiring. And even we saw in Colombia where the president said, no, you can't. We've agreed to let you fly these people back. And mid-flight, he was trying to stop them. And the next thing you know, Trump's going, well, fine, we got some plans if you don't take them back. And sure enough, their president's saying, hey, we'll send you our plane too. We'll send presidential plane, and we'll bring them back ourselves too. So that's the way it's got to work. I mean, we got to have tough leadership. We've got a strong leader. And I just pray that the people that are around him, especially people of faith, Christians that really have a strong faith, will be the ones that give him the best advice. That their advice, just like a modern day Joseph, will be the one where the Pharaoh listens, right? And that Joseph just had the right advice at the right time. And I want to believe that's going to happen for President Trump, that a lot of the leadership around him, and the young people he's brought in, the incredibly strong women. I mean, when Mark Cuban said that Trump doesn't like to be around strong women, I'm sitting there going, who in the world are you talking about? Melania. My goodness. I mean, how can he be stronger than Melania? 5 languages? I mean, you don't speak 5 languages without being strong and smart. And so, when you look around us and we see people saying those type things, you just go, that just shows you how naive you are. And of course, the left, we want them to be naive toward things of God. They don't understand it. They don't understand those foundational principles, but we know God is in control and he is going to win. His will be done. He puts kings in authority. He brings them down. He directs their minds where they're going. And I'm just praying again that Trump will really listen to what God has taught him, because he is a changed man. Anybody that doesn't believe he's a changed man, he's a lot softer than he used to be.
He is, and but this is something. When people were complaining about him the first 4 years he was in, they would say, "Oh, it's all about him. It's all about Trump. It's all No, it wasn't. I personally know people who've met him, and they will tell you, they'll say he's nothing. Even during that first 4 years, he's nothing like the news media says he is. One of them was one of my friends. Her name is Ann Eubank. And Ann was Ted Cruz person, and so she represented Ted Cruz for the state of Alabama. So she was all about Cruz, and I liked him too. I loved Ted Cruz. I think he was wonderful. In fact, I got to meet him because of my friend Ann, and he was a nice guy, really.
He sure is.
He had some quirky ways too, but he's a nice guy.
Yes.
And so she said, "Why are you voting for Trump over Ted Cruz?" And I said, "I like Cruz." I said, "But you got to have somebody that's almost got a bully personality. You've almost got to, for the big pushback. Ted Cruz could not have taken, and he's a strong man, but I don't think he could have taken the blows Trump took that first 4 years. And even before this election, couldn't have. Not many people could. And I was thinking he was the guy. So Am just walked into, I'm going to meet Donald Trump after he was president. So she comes back a changed person. And she said, "You were right." And I said, "About what?" She said, "He was nothing like I thought he was." She said, so she gets to meet him, and she's thinking he's probably not even going to let me finish the sentence to say what my name is. So she said, he just looks at her, not a flirty way. She thought he was going to be that way too. And she said, no, he was all business. She said, he just looked at her and said, "Your name?" And she said, "Ann Eubank." And he said, "So tell me about you, Ann." And she said he sat back, did not say another word, and let her finish the whole thing.
Wow.
And then she said, we sat down. He was very gracious that they ate with him. And she said, he was a gracious person. And I said, "What was Melania like?" And she said, "A lady." She said, "She's the most beautiful woman I think I've ever seen in my life." And she said, "But very, very gracious. There was no snobbery about her, nothing like that." She said, "It would have been like, your rich uncle, your rich aunt. It would have been like you went to their house." And she said, they were just gracious. And I've heard so many other people say that. The lady used to be over the Republican Party. Her name is Terry, and from Alabama. She met him. She came back with the same story with me. She said,
"That's right.
I love this guy." She said, nothing like I thought he was going to be. But I think a good leader has to be humble. And they both said he was humble, unlike what the news media said.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Well, again, though, you want somebody that exudes confidence, that believes in what they're doing.
He does that.
You don't want somebody debating whether they're making the right decision, wishy-washy like James talks about, being double-minded, if you would. You want somebody to make a decision and go with it. And that's what he obviously has an incredible skill to do. And it always is laughable to me almost when I hear some of these reporters questioning, who he should put on his cabinet or whatever, senators questioning. And I go, this man is a billionaire. And no matter what you say about him inheriting $100 million, whatever he inherited, to turn it into billions is not easy to do. And you're a very intelligent person to be able to do something like that. And the fact that you can do that says a lot about your ability to make wise choices, your ability, the golf clubs you own, the hotels you own, the real estate you own, the businesses you own, the cryptocurrency he just came out with. And as you probably know, that made him billions of dollars. I mean, Truth Social, same thing. So there's all sorts of things that he's done that have proven his abilities, obviously, how can you say that that's not successful? It's not like he's trying to take advantage of the system like a Joe Biden has. I mean, Joe Biden, in my view, his family has totally taken advantage of the system. And he was, the way he, got his son, gave him a pardon. I mean, come on. I mean, what kind of craziness is that? And of course, I think we need to be very cautious because of those pardons. Trump may have to do the same thing for his own family because of the craziness of these of the way the left will do things, using
Oh, yeah.
lawfare to prosecute people. And you go back to Ted Cruz. I was a Ted Cruz guy in 2016 or 15. That's who I really believed in. And I 100% agree. He's a great man. He'd be a great president. But the thing that Trump has done, he's given Republicans the ability to really stand up and say what they believe rather than what the PC police try to get them to believe. I'm so encouraged by that. You think about John McCain and Romney. I mean, come on. Those guys were wimp presidents. They were terrible. That's why they didn't win. And we tried to rally around them, but they did not stand for what they believed. We've got a president now that's teaching us that we can stand for what we believe, stand firm on our faith, and really see God transform our nation by standing on truth rather than let the left tell us what to believe.
I got a huge message. And J.D. Vance, to me, was the best pick he could have ever come up with for VP. I just love J.D. Vance. But when he was being sworn in, he went through a lot of rough life with his mother. I mean, because I know people who are addicted to drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
It would be a hard life to live. Well, he had to make some decisions about his personal life so that he could be successful.
That's right.
But I think I got the story of redemption. I just thought of redemption. When I saw his mother, as bad as she was raising him, when his mother got to stand right over there and watch him being right front and center, she got to watch him I've got chill bumps talking about it right now.
That's right.
But being front and center right there to watch her son being sworn in as president, coming from where he came from, absolutely nothing. And then being vice president. He was successful before he got there, though, successful in his business. So for her to be there, to me, it was showing redemption. He didn't just throw his mother away.
That's exactly right.
That's a big part of it.
Amen to that. And I think that's one thing you're right we need to pay attention to is overcoming incredible odds. And you think about President Trump, we all felt like 4 years ago it was over.
Mm-hmm.
He would never be able to come back. And the lawfare they did, the 34 counts that they changed the law so they could continue to prosecute him. The way New York right now is talking about changing their election law for election of congressmen. They changed the rules, and they did that to him. But yet he perseveres through it. It's amazing.
Yes, it's absolutely amazing. Let's talk a little bit about the local front, local elections, that kind of thing. Because I know so many people who only vote for the presidential election, nothing else, okay? We're in Alabama, we've been in a mess with illegals coming in. And I know that a lot, they're all over. Now, I want to say this before I start this comment. My daughter-in-law is from Russia. My daughter-in-law is a legal American citizen. She was brought here when she was 9 years old. No one gets more upset about illegals than she does. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to tell you, she's right on the march against that. She says, no, I came in the right way. I'm an American citizen. I love America. You'll never see her holding a Russian flag.
Yes.
I mean, never, ever. So what's happened is the small little town that was such a wonderful place to live in, to grow up in when I was a kid, is not the same town anymore. It's crime ridden. There are marches all the time, people holding up the flags of the country that they're from. As a matter of fact, we've made world news here.
Wow.
Because of the stance. And there's been several towns and cities in Alabama. It's just been a hub for illegals coming in. They'll just destroy your town. It's one reason we wanted to move back to the Carolinas. We just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I said that to say this. If we care about our local area as well as we do the national, who we elect, I think we might see some different results, because I think it's up to the city council members. They're supposed to be for the people who are citizens of their town.
Yes.
And their city. But now what they'll say at a city council member is, Jesus loves everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to ask when I go to one is, oh, it's okay now to mention Jesus' name? Because before we couldn't do that because you were afraid that someone from another country would be offended because of who they worship. So now
Yes.
it's okay to mention Jesus because it fits your agenda. And I'm going to say, I wish we could check bank accounts of mayors and city council members. I wish we could do that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I mean, it's like Tip O'Neill used to say, all politics is local. You remember that statement, I'm sure, well. And I agree with you totally that you got to get involved with every local election. You got to be very involved if you can and find a candidate you like, support them, know them, be their friend. So if there's a problem, there's a bill's coming up you don't like or you can support, whatever, you at least have a relationship to be able to talk to them about it. And if you don't have a relationship with them, you won't have any influence, right? I mean, it's like, who are you to call me about something you never helped me or never talked to me before? So I think it's very wise to our state officials, our state reps, our state senators can be very, very, obtainable to get to know them and meet them and go to their events or whatever. And the same with your county commissioners or city commissioners. You want to be involved. Your mayor, you want to know what's going on. And in regard to, we want to be Jesus with skin on. We do. We really want to help people. We want to, but we also want them to come here and assimilate to what America's all about, to know English and to know our history and to understand the greatness of this country. And as you well know, usually it takes about 3 generations before someone starts voting Republican or Democrat. They split their vote. When they first come in, they're heavily Democrat, as you know. And over time, they start, going 50-50 both directions. So, but we've got to assimilate them, and they've got to be willing to know our history and know why our freedom is important. Because so many of them come from dictatorships or socialist governments. So they're used to the government kind of, quote, taking care of them, even though it does a terrible job of it. And so they come in and they think that's what they want here. But then they soon find out that's not the kind of system we have. And that's not what we want at the end of the day. We do not want government telling us everything we got to do.
Well, this is what upsets me. Okay, I couldn't go to Haiti and walk in with an American flag and only speak English and not expect some kind of probably kill me, probably shoot me on it. If you're going to do that, if you're going to come in, at least cherish the American flag. At least do that.
Amen. Well, you saw protests in L.A. the last couple days. Supposedly they were shutting down Highway 1. And, obviously the local government needs to get them off the street and get the roads opened up. And they're holding Mexican flags. But again, I don't blame them for not wanting to have to go back home. But if they came here illegally, they have to go back, and they have to come back here legally. And of course, we need the workers. I mean, there's no question in our farms and other places need to have workers that can come in and go home and go back and forth. And in the past, we had them, so we just need to reestablish that.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. But there's a thing called respect. It's like if you don't smoke and I'm a smoker and I come to your house and you ask me not to smoke and I smoke anyway, that's not giving you any respect. I don't smoke, by the way. I've got asthma. I can't handle it.
Right.
But I'm just saying, if I were one and I went and smoked it, a pack in your house, I don't think that's giving you a whole lot of respect out of your home.
No doubt about it. And I agree totally. They need to respect our laws, respect our rules, and respect our borders. And we've got a government that's doing that now. We've seen the numbers. We're seeing the numbers go way down in illegal crossings, and we're seeing Christy Nome, going riding her horse along the border, and versus someone telling us the border's closed and the border's wide open. So it's really a pleasure to see the change in our government. And I really do believe we need to stop the fentanyl. I mean, when 100,000 fighting age men are dying from drug overdoses every year, I mean, why does China need to shoot guns? They don't have to shoot guns. They're killing our fighting age men, and we got to stop it. And of course, a lot of that's been coming in from Canada, and it's got to be stopped. And so I'm totally in agreement with our government, with our president, who's going to get a strong border. And I think we're going to see the results of that fruit. Again, we'll know them by their fruit. And I really do believe the fruit in this country is going to prosper. We've been through a lot of pruning, and we're going to see some fruit coming from the benefits of a godly leader.
I think so too. Yeah, I was laughing about one thing that President Trump did first day in office. So he's already signing. I mean, the ink pens all over the place. And so when we bought our house, of course, we were the people who were buying the house from were across the table from us, the realtors, everybody was there. And we were just having a good time. They wanted to know if I was a Republican or I said, I'm a conservative. Well, that was what they needed to hear. I was hoping I wasn't hurting anybody's feelings. And the people who bought the house from used to be Democrats. And said, we were done with Democrats, but no, we don't like where the party was going. So we've been voting Republican ever since.
Sure.
And so, I mean, it's like you're signing your life away. I mean, you're signing when you buy a house. And so I said, when can we start throwing pens like Trump did? The audience. But anyway, he does some really good things. What are your thoughts on, I've heard, I read, and hopefully it was a good article. Then he's going to start working on the no taxes on tips this week. What do you think that's going to do? Or will he be able to get that passed?
Yeah, I think they'll be able to get it passed. And again, it's just like anything. I think if you're a hardworking person, you're working in the restaurant business, and they're saying you're going to be no taxes on the cash tips.
Yeah,
that's going to be an interesting thing because that's not what he said, right? Mm-hmm. But it's on the cash tips, and I think on a credit card, obviously it's fairly easy to determine what the tax consequences are. But what they were doing, I think a lot of in the restaurant business, coming out of the restaurant, hotel, and restaurant business, a lot of people were underreporting their income, and so now hopefully it'll give them more incentive to just tell the truth, not have to feel like they've got to hide certain things. But at the same time, if you get a $20 gift or tip, then not having to report anything on that, I think that's going to be a good thing.
I think so too. But something, it sounds an awful lot like fair tax.
Yes, it really does. Well, and again, the fair tax would be you pay tax on what you spend, not on what you make.
Mm-hmm. And I think everybody, I know everybody would be paying it, but he keeps talking about things like get rid of the IRS. That's what fair tax does. The IRS is gone. And basically, if you're a business owner, it sounds like I would love for it to happen. I really would, and I'm a conservative business owner. So I know they're watching every little, now Donna didn't dot that I and cross that T. Let's go ahead and give her, get her in trouble about that. I just feel like we have to watch every single move just to make, because I'm sure we're being picked on.
Absolutely. Well, that's, one thing about our system, if you did have a flat tax, fair tax, whatever you want to call it, let's just call it 20%. If everybody paid 20% of whatever their income was, then you would lose a lot of your accounting firms, your tax consequence, your benefits of the 501c3, your church. There are a lot of people that be concerned about, if you didn't get a tax deduction, would your giving go down, for example? I don't think it would. I think you'd have more money to give, quite frankly.
I could give it to who I want to give it to.
Exactly.
I've got my chance to do that. Less than 1 minute left in this show today.
Wow.
What would you like to tell everybody before we go?
Say it again.
What would you like to tell everybody before we go?
I think just keep looking up. We've got a lot of optimism. Keep praying for Trump. Keep praying for our country. Just keep trusting God that he's going to take care of us, and he's got the best plan for us. And I just really want to encourage everybody, like I say, keep looking up because God's in control. He's going to take care of us. And we have a lot of optimism in our country and our future. Got to pray for those people who have had pain and the hurricane, the fires, plane crashes, whatever, and realize again that we can trust God every step of the way.
Absolutely. Clint, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Donna.
It's always a pleasure. Hang around. We got to get you set up for next
week. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the apple of my eye. I love hearing from you. Continue sending emails. Donna@donnasedge.com. Take care.